Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another weekly Kazin reading weekly review. Um, okay, we've been reading an interesting book thus far. We're reading the book Making It Big by Femi Otedola. Maybe just a bit of recap on how far, what we have done so far. So we started with the introduction, which was basically around how Otedolo's father and his mom met, got married, and all of those introduction and how they came back to Nigeria and how they moved from Ibadan to Lagos and all of that. That was something like an introduction. How they also talk about how he also spoke about his children and a bit of background around that. Then we moved on to section one, which is broken down into five lessons. The first lesson was start small and keep dreaming. Talks about how he started his cutting nails business, how he dropped out of school, and how he moved from that to center force. How from center force, how center force also made him a bit laid back and how he decided that how the whole fourth oil journey started and how he was looking for the whole issue around diesel and scarcity of diesel and how he he saw that he needed to start a business around that because he felt he could do it better, handle it better, and how Xenon started and and all of those journeys, right? And he also spoke about how the second lesson in section one was um lead from the front and take the back seats. Talked about the fact that how he was the one that was basically making the decisions. He was one that was running around and nothing could be done without him and how the importance of having a structure in place and all of that. Then we had our game night and congratulations to the winners that won from that game night. Then last week, we was it last week? No, we took a break, and before we took the break, we looked at self-belief is non-negotiable. And from there, we had a break, and we are back. And today we'll be reviewing the fourth lesson in section one, which is hire with caution and fire without regrets. And today we have some fantastic Waliat Salim with us who will be who will be giving us a recap of this particular lesson. Um, and after which we would then leave the floor open to everyone that would like to contribute. So Waliat, just to confirm, I'll just hand over the virtual mic to you to do a summary of this very interesting lesson, fire with caution and fire without regrets. Thank you.
Thank you, Ifoma. Good evening, everyone. Please confirm that you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you and we can see you.
Yes, we can
Okay.
hear you.
All right. Okay, so the chapter of the fourth lesson is Hire with Caution and Fire Without Regrets. The author started off by saying that it took him nearly 10 years before he could find the perfect fit as the CEO for his businesses. And he also mentioned that to keep a system running effectively, you need to have someone that will give you peace of mind, someone that can actually do the job. So he went on to list out the various forms of recruiting that we have, and he also mentioned the pros and the cons of each type of recruitment. So starting off, the first recruitment process is through advertising. So it's basically involves you advertising and or getting an HR company to do the advertisements for you. So the pro is that it allows you to pick from a field of people. So it gives everybody the chance to compete fairly, and then you can then pick the best candidates to be your employee. The second form of recruitment is through referrals. Um, this particular form of recruitment also has its own pros and cons. So it is very cheap because it comes with word of mouth. Someone will just tell you, oh, this person is this, is that. Can you recruit the person and all of that? But the cons, the offside is that you then accumulate a lot of people that are dead weights to the company because the person that is making the referral to you could just be pushing out their cousin, their brother, their sister. I mean, we've all been there. Like someone's telling us, "Oh, this person can do the job. Please give him job." Or a very affluent client telling you, "Oh, I have a son. Can you put him in charge of this?" And then you bring the person on board only to realize that the person cannot do the job. So although it's cheap, but yeah. So the third form of recruitment is through headhunting, and most times the work of the person speaks for him in the sense that you already have an idea of what the person can do, and then you then go all out to target the person, quote unquote, to bring them on board. Although the upside is that you might have to pay a premium because most times it involves you getting somebody from another company. So if you want them to switch sides, yes, you have to be willing to pay a premium. So the author went on to talk about how we poached Akinfemiwa from Wando. So the major form of recruitment that was used was recommendations, that's referral and headhunting, because the man's work spoke for him, kind of, and he went ahead to target him and bring him on board. Of course, it had some it took a while before Akin came on board to become the CEO of Forte Oil, because I mean it took like 1 year after they initiated conversation before Akinfemiwa joined his company. So yeah, the author went on to teach us some lessons he has learned from recruiting Akinfemiwa, who is described as a powerhouse leader. So number one is that you have to do your due diligence before hiring. So that means that you need to assess the candidates that you're bringing on board. After you create your job description, you need to make sure that you interview the person and identify who the person is. And yes, with the digital world that we have out there, you can just type in the person's name and try to learn more about the person, their values, their character, and all of that. And when the person comes on board, you put them on probation for a few months to just try to see if they are suitable for the particular role that you brought them up for. Second thing is a second lesson about recruiting is that recruiting by referrals is a disservice to the business. Again, this ties back to what I mentioned earlier about dead weights. So because most people that refer to you are trying to push someone to your neck, regardless of whether the person can do the business, the work or not. So when you do your recruitment by referrals, it's a disservice to the business. Yeah. So another lesson is that senior management must have a proven track record, integrity, and loyalty because they are the senior management. So they literally run the affairs of the company. You cannot do referrals for this kind of people. You can't afford to have a deadweight leading your company as a CEO or COO or CFO. Therefore, you need to make sure that you put the right person who has work that actually speak for them in those positions. Now, the fourth lesson is let a financially savvy professional get you a CFO. So, because banks are the ones that give you money kind of to run your business. So you can have them appoint a CFO for you so that at least they have peace of mind that, oh, we have put the right person there to make sure that their finances just don't go down the drain. So, an offside is that now the person that you brought up can then start working for the bank instead of for you. So, to caution that, to mitigate that kind of scenario, you need to have internal auditors in place that kind of do check and balances on the person to make sure that they are doing their work for the company and not for the bank that brought them on board, quote unquote. The author went on to talk about how he fires people. Of course, he said fire without regrets. So he mentioned that he had no regrets in firing anybody because his decisions are not rash and they are not they are never in a haste. He mentions that it takes in the fact that there are jealousy, there are politics in place in the work um place, but it never allows this to cloud his opinion or his decisions because it comes from a place of justification to fire people. Now, he went on to say that you should fight to get exceptional people on board. This ties back to Akinfemiwa and a number of people that he hired as a CEO for his businesses. Of course, this went through, he did a lot of headhunting for these powerhouses, and a lot of them, their first response was no. So he has to go above and beyond to make sure that he brings them on board. I mean, Akinfemiwa, who he spoke about, that Akin brought the company to a greater height. So it took them 1 year after they initiated conversations before Akin finally agreed to come on board. And also he mentioned another person who only agreed to work for him for 2 years. So that's just it. Again, he said when the fit is not perfect, you need to experiment. So in all these 10 years that he was looking for the perfect CEO, he just didn't handle the whole thing by himself. He brought in people and he kept some people for a while. He made some people go away. So he was open to taking risks in terms of who to appoint as CEO or COO. Also, he spoke about staff honesty and loyalty. So the first question was, what makes him fire people? And then he went on to list a number of things that could make him fire people, dishonesty being one of the top things that would make him fire people because in his words, how can you and I be in the room sitting across from each other and discussing the fortunes of the company when I know you are a common criminal in a shirt and tie? So dishonesty, disloyalty, selfishness, indiscipline, deception are things that make him fire people. So when he fires people that have all, that have this kind of values, of course, he has no regrets in firing them. Now, loyalty is a very technical thing because you really can't know if someone is loyal or not if you bring them on board. So he identifies some ways by which you can know if a client or if a candidate rather is loyal. One of them is that you can check their CV to see how many years, how many job roles that they have, how many years they've stayed on these job roles. So if you see someone that is always jumping around, you need to question their loyalty. Of course, that cannot be a conclusive evidence of the fact that they are disloyal because again, people leave jobs for various reasons. So you need to have conversations with the person about it. Another way you can check out loyalty is to ask the person questions about their former employers. Now, a person that has a habit of making disrespectful comments about their employers definitely has a question as to their loyalty. Then he went on to talk about a CEO that he had once who went ahead to sabotage his company in the sense that the man went behind to his biggest clients, telling them to come and buy diesel from him instead of purchasing diesel from the company that he was appointed a CEO for. So, of course, he fired the person. Yeah, so no regrets there. Also in an interview, you can assess a person's loyalty in an interview if you look at, okay, I've mentioned the CV thing. Um, So when you ask someone question in an interview and the person stammers or they're trying to make up things, you know that oh this person is lying kind of. But if you ask someone a very complex question and then they just hit it on spot and say their mind, you know that this person is coming from a truthful place. So he also talk about how he notices that things are off with an employee or candidate. So he keeps his ears to the ground, especially when he brings somebody on board. He made mention of a particular employee who came to work on a motorbike on his very first day at work. And then subsequently, 2 weeks after he got a car, he drove in, somebody opened the door for him, another person was carrying his jacket, another person was carrying his bag, and then there was this hair of yes, the royalty has arrived, I have arrived, after 2 weeks of joining and heading the company as a CEO. So yes, he fired the person. He made mention of another person who, after he gave the person a company card, the person started misbehaving and following ladies all around. And in his words, the person was relaxing in my living room as if he were on a boat cruise. I mean, why will you do that? Anyways, he noticed things and is very in hiring or in firing people. Yes, he tries to notice things, and he made some comments about power, doing some funny things to people. So yes, he needs to put his eyes, I mean, open his eyes and put his ears on the ground to notice how employees behave when they come on board. Also, he tests employees by giving them okay, he painted a scenario of how to test if an employee can keep confidential information. He spoke about giving an employee a sandwich. Now, some people can go around and say, "Oh, the boss gave me this and this, da 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 da," but and some people can just go back to their seats and take their sandwich very quietly without telling anybody who or the source of the sandwich. So this shows that that kind of person can keep confidential information confidential. Now, the final thing that he spoke about was why his employees rarely leave. So he described himself as a very fair employee. He doesn't expect that you work 24/7. If you work 8 hours at a stretch, you are good to go. And then if an employee goes ahead and beyond, he reciprocates that goodness to the employee by maybe paying their school fees, sponsoring this or that, and all of that. And in fact, he made mention that a lot of his former employees, they still have very good relationships because they are people that he considers as friends and he can still call them to do one or two things for him. Now, his key takeaways are thus, when you want to hire, what qualities do you look for? Because now this will make you know exactly what you are looking for and not just interview candidates aimlessly. Also, he said he made several mistakes in recruitment because he did not engage HR professionals. Again, this goes back to the idea of referrals because a lot of the people he had when when he had his first company was through referrals, and that brought a lot of dead weight into the system. In fact, he made mention of someone that was very difficult to work with. Another person just couldn't do the job, and that person was all mouth. The person actually pitched a very innovative idea to him, and then the person was brought on board, and he was given all the resources that he needed to achieve that goal. By the end, he still could not do that. The third takeaway is that once I got it right, I started really cruising along, and it said hiring and firing must be handled properly. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mariat. That was a very fantastic review of this interesting lesson. Um, I mean, you literally broken the book down, and we thank you so much for that fantastic review. I think Mariat has done justice to this particular lesson. If you'd like to, I mean, add to what Mariat has said, please feel free to raise your hand. But while we wait for that, I think one thing that was very interesting about this particular lesson is the fact that as entrepreneurs, right, you it's not how much you fall, but how much you keep trying till you get it right. I think that was one thing that that stood out there. How Zenon, he mentioned that Zenon had hired seven CEOs before they finally got someone that could do the job. So as entrepreneurs, right, we keep pushing. Um, we can never get it right the first time, and we keep trying. I mean, he also felt guilty in the part of his own recruitment process and getting people on Zen, and he would just ask people, and someone would say, "Okay, I know someone that can do the job." He didn't have a structure, HR structure in place, right? So, I mean, that was another interesting part. But when I think after the merger with AP, and that was when I think AP had a better structure in terms of hiring people, and that was when he understood that I think that's when he also was then able to hire understand the importance of getting it right when you're hiring people into your organization. Um, Another thing that was very, very interesting about this particular lesson, he did not spell it out, but he's so particular about people not being proud, right? Being humble, regardless how when you start making it big, right? When the money starts coming, just being able to still leave your head down. Don't don't allow money, right? That you didn't have at first get in your head, but still be humble. And I think Femi Otedola is actually a very humble person. Even another person is Dangote. No matter how much money they have, right, they always still carry that humble look that no one would actually know that they are passive except if, like, you will wonder when you see such people that regardless of how much they've acquired and how much impact they've also had on the society, they are still so very humble. I can see two hands up, so let me just allow Afiz, please go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much, Former. And thanks for that review, Waleat. You spoke very brilliantly. Um, so the takeaway from it, it's this something very, very practical. This book is actually very good. I think I will have to get a copy myself because Femi Otedola, not being a regular writer, coming out with this, we can say he's done a very good job because everything is very real in this chapter, especially, right? If you look at the fact that he said, what I can pick from the summary here is your skill will take you to some certain level in your career, but the quality, right? The kind of virtues that you have, like loyalty, there is no 99% loyalty, right? You have to be 100% loyal to the business. You have to be truthful. There are many cases that have happened to me that, I will say something, then they will fact check immediately with another person. Imagine if it's not true, right? And so you want to be on the side of the truth all the time. You want to be on especially if you are working in a very a volatile environment. So I think loyalty to the business and to leadership is very important. Honesty cannot be compromised by any company, right? You have to be 100% honest, 100% loyal. I think the book, the guy actually boasted of the fact that is an expert on hiring and firing, right? And leadership also doesn't regret firing. If they fire by mistake, that's it. It's gone like that. They won't go back and I'm going to fire. I'm going to call the person back. That's the end. They will have to hire again. So because for them, they can use money to acquire skills. They can train people. Yeah. But those qualities, you can't use money to buy it. You have to have it in you. You have to be truthful yourself. You can't train somebody to be honest. You can't train somebody to be loyal, right? So that's why those things are very key when you get to a level in your career. Thank you very much. Let me give the floor to others.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Afis, for that. Loyalty, very, very key. Kazim, please go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, Waleat, for the fantastic review. I really appreciate the opportunity. And just to beg everybody too that we're always looking forward to people like Waleat to speak for us. Um, I think I just want to add, number one is to appreciate the honesty of Femi Otedola in this book. He's very honest. And for all of us reading this book or participating in this review, you need to appreciate that fact about life and learn a lot from his honesty. Secondly, is about being too forward. Okay, so when he was discussing about people, he said there are some of his employees, I think he executive or stuff, that he took to meet some of his billionaire friends, and they get to the venue and they had to sit before everybody else sits down. So that means that we honestly need to learn basic decorum, right? We all need to learn basic decorum. Look at somebody like that who will have lost his loyalty, trust, love, opportunities to grow, just being forward. And this is not to, okay, so don't let me go personal. So we honestly need to appreciate that part of decorum, right? And lastly is always learn to understand the room. You met someone for the first time, the way you interact with the person will determine if the person wants to be your friend or just pack you on another side of conversation. Look at the guy that came for an interview on a bike, and within 2 weeks of employment, he became a big ass boy, people carrying his suits and stuff. So I know we don't have more time, but everyone should learn when you meet people, understand, don't talk too much, listen and learn before you talk. And once you start talking, also sense the room and see if this is the appropriate thing to say at this right time. Honestly, I'm very happy reading this book, and I'm happy sharing and learning from all of the people that have spoken. Ufuma, back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kazim, for that. Thank you so much for that. I mean, this book has been very, very interesting. Othello has been breaking down his whole life in this book, which I'm not sure I've enjoyed any book as much as I've enjoyed this book, as in and I mean everyone has I mean from what we've learned so much, I mean from this particular lesson, being able to observe the room before you, don't not be being too forward, like Kazim mentioned, and also being looking at people that are actually very loyal, because you want someone that would help you grow your business and not someone that would pull you down, or pull down your business and while growing his own on the side, right? Yeah, I think that'll be all for this thing. Just to thank everyone for joining this review. And please, if you'd like to review with us, we would be so much happy to have you on board. And also please do free to follow us on all our social media handles. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we are also on WhatsApp. Please join us on WhatsApp. Please feel free to reach out to any of the admin if you'd like to review this interesting book that we have been unpacking for the past 4 weeks or more. And thank you so much, everyone, and do enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you,
you.
and have it. Thank you. Bye.